Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Castle Keeper Bloodworth, and today I'm going to be talking about the new box set that I just got, uh, ordering a whole bunch of stuff from Troll Lord Games, inspired by the fact that I believe that they are going to be one of the go-to game systems. Castles and Crusades is going to be one of the go-to game systems for 5e refugees, and those players who have unfortunately been abandoned by Wizards of the Coast for their having access to new 5e product going forward. I really did want to focus on a game system that they could very easily transition over to, and Castles and Crusades really does offer anybody new to this game system some very unique things from Troll Lord Games. So first of all, Castles and Crusades uses a system that that they developed themselves, and it's different than the what you have in Dungeons and Dragons or other similar Dungeons and Dragons clones, and that is the siege system. And the siege system really focuses on skill checks and everything being based on attributes, and then the attributes are then categorized as either primary or non-primary, and so that helps set the target numbers that you need in order to be successful in whatever you're attempting to do. And it's a much more flexible system than actually having rules and skill listings for every possible outcome. I mean, it's impossible to do that to begin with. And so this allows the castle keeper and the player, as they're interacting through their game session, if the player asks to do something, all the castle keeper has to think about is, well, which attribute would what they're looking to do be most closely related to, and then check to see if the players if that's a player's primary or secondary attribute, and that sets the base number in which they need to reach. And then they make the roll. They already have the target number. There might be another factor of adding in a difficulty to it that is separate from that system, and I'll go into more detail with it. But it is a very simple, streamlined, uh, oftentimes just a one die roll to determine the consequences of the action, or the results of the action. So that's one thing that's really unique about this. The second thing that I find really unique about Castles and Crusades is its connection to mythologies, and how those mythologies actually play out with some of the creatures and the treasures and everything that you can discover in this game. And it also amps up the difficulty when you do actually encounter these these mythological creatures. They really do stand out from the other more mundane creatures that they have in Monsters and Treasure as well. So you can definitely see the difference in creatures from mythology, and they have at least six or possibly even seven codexes of various mythologies, which I revealed in my box opening the other day, and I will do videos on each of those as I get through them, and start and pick up maybe one or two more. So the connection to mythologies is really important for Castles and Crusades as well. And then finally, um, and this is just something that I really stumbled upon going through this particular white box, is with clerics. Clerics can actually worship entire pantheons. All right, so they don't have to limit themselves to just the worship and the devotion to one deity, but they can have multiple deities or an entire pantheon. Um, and again, that's that mythology connection that Castles and Crusades makes as well. But it really is a unique thing to it that I really do like, and I think again it allows for players to really um, to role play their characters and really develop a character. As I go through this book, you're going to see that characters, at least at the start, um, they start off very basic, but then there's all kinds of nuance that you, the player, can add to your character that I think really goes back to old school. The old school way of role playing is that characters were simple on paper, and then all of the all of the nuance and the flavor and the role playing came out of the player's creativity in running that character and role playing that character. So, without further ado, let's get right into the book itself. Now, I don't have the PDF, so unfortunately, I'm going to just show you here, but you can see you'll be able to see the layout, and you'll be able to see some of the art in in more detail um, anyway. But so here we have it, and the art is really exceptional. It's black and white art, and there is nothing to say that this is a detractor. Black and white art is as technical as color art is, and and with the detail and the shading and everything that they have in here, it really is exceptional. So you do not need color art in order to have exceptional art, and this game system certainly employs exceptional art. And I will announce here. So art by Peter Bradley and Jason Walton, cover art by Jason Walton, and it's written by Davis Chenault, Matt Golden, Stephen Chenault, and compiled and additional materials by Jason Vay. So here we go. We go into the introduction and what is Castles and Crusades. And this box set will include Men and Magic, Eldritch Enchantments, Adventures in the Wilderness and Underworld, The Monsters and Treasures, and then the adventure booklet, Kane's Gauntlet. The Siege Engine. So I'm down here at the bottom here. So the Siege Engine is the core mechanic that powers Castles and Crusades. In this game, you will resolve almost every problem using the attribute check. Each attribute will have a bonus from -3 to +3. To make an attribute check, you will roll a d20, add your attribute bonus and your level to the roll. Some of your attributes will be marked as primary or primes. For these, you try to get a 12 on your die roll. Secondary or non-prime attributes requires an 18 or better to succeed. So very, very simple system. You will know ahead of time and what your attribute bonus is. And then all you need to do is, if you don't already know what task you're attempting to do, what attribute it's actually relying upon, the castle keeper will tell you, well, that's a dexterity check. And then you say, all right, well, I'm a thief character, so I know that's my prime. So I know I need a 12. Now I know that I have a 17 dexterity, so I'm going to get +2. All right, so now I need to roll a 10 basically um, on that skill check. All right, I have a dexterity. I have a level of I'm a thief level 4. So I'm going to get an additional +4 on top of that. So now I only need to roll a 6 or higher in order to be successful. You roll your d12 and you're successful. All right, a d20, I'm sorry. You roll your d20 and you're successful as long as you roll above a 6 on that case. So it's a very, very simple system to use. Only requires one die roll, all right, in order to determine success. Combat works very similar, the same way. Um, you'll have your um, attack roll, which is a d20. You'll have your ability bonus. So if it's a melee attack, you're using your strength. If it's a missile attack, you're using a dexterity. You have a BTH, and I'll go into that's your basic to hit. And based on your class, you have different basics, base to hit. So fighters get +1 for every single level, all the way up to level 10. So they can have a base to hit of +10 on a d20 roll. And you're just trying to beat the armor class. You're trying to hit or beat the armor class that you're attacking. And so it's a very simple system again. So we go to character creation, and you have strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You're going to choose your class, and your classes are cleric, fighter, thief, and wizard. You have your races. You just have humans, elves, dwarves, and halflings. So far, very, very simple, right? It's just you have 4 classes, you have 4 races. All right. And now, races are tied to certain classes, but we'll get into that when we go into more detail with each of the races. Races also have attribute bonuses and minuses, with the exception of humans. Humans have no bonus or no minus, but I'll get into that as well. And then your attributes. Your attributes run from a range of 1 to 18. Um, although you're rolling 3d6, so you really can't end up with a 1 unless you have some kind of an ailment or some kind of an effect applied to your character. But so a 3 would be a -3, a 4 to 5 would be a -2, a 6 to 8 would be a -1, a 9 to 12 is a 0. I'm going through the attribute bonuses down here. A 13 to a 15 is a +1, a 16 to a 17 is a +2, and an 18 is a +3. So your average character obviously is going to have no modifier based on their attribute. Primary and secondary attributes. So you get primaries from both your class and then your choice. Okay, so um, human characters get to choose up to 2 additional primary attributes, right? So humans can have 3 primary attributes. Demi-humans only have 2 primary attributes, one from their class and then one that they have selected. So the character classes are clerics. Clerics begin with a wisdom primary attribute. Thieves begin with a dexterity, fighters with a strength, and wizards with an intelligence. All right, and then each character class has a number of hit die, just like very many others, um, ranging from a D4 through to a D10. Obviously, wizards are D4s, thieves are D6s, clerics are D8s, and fighters are D10s, and so on. So very, very simple system here. So here we have a cleric, right? And I'm going to go over the cleric chart real quick because I wanted to focus on the basic to hit bonuses. So clerics have wisdom is their primary, a D8 is their hit die type. They have special weapon selections, and again, they If their deity's primary weapon is a sword, then the cleric can use a sword. If they're a cleric devoted to an entire pantheon, then they can choose any weapon that's the primary weapon of that pantheon, one of the deities within that pantheon. So it does give clerics a lot more flexibility when doing so. Um, so as clerics go up, they increase their hit die. They also get a bonus to their basic to hit roll. So at level 1, a cleric only has a +0 to their basic to hit, but at levels 2 and 3, they're at a +1. 4 and 5, they're at a +2. 6 and 7, they're at a +3 to hit. 8 and 9, they're at a +4, and at level 10, they're a +5. And it goes through their experience that they have to accumulate in order to hit those various levels. They have their clerical spells per day. Wisdom also increases the number of spells that they have accessible in addition to what the chart says. So if you have a 16 intelligence, you're going to get an extra. I'm sorry, a 16 wisdom, you're going to get an extra first level spell. If you have a 17, you're going to get an extra first and second level spell. All right, these are accumulative. At 18, you're going to get an extra third level spell. So if you have an 18 wisdom, you're going to have an extra first, an extra second, and an extra third level spell that you can cast, provided you are at the level where you can cast those. All right. They also have 0 level spells where they can gain additional 0 level spells as well based on their attribute, and magic users are going to be handled very similarly. All right, so we now go to fighters, and fighters, as you can see, strength is their primary, any alignment, D10, any weapon, any armor. They have weapon specialization, they have combat dominance, and they have extra attacks. All right, and you can see that their basic to hit increases with every level. So +1, +2, +3, all the way through +10 with each of their levels. So they are the most proficient in combat, in melee combat. Thieves based on dexterity, obviously, and they have all of your typical thieves abilities. And then when you get here, they have a d6. Their weapons, they have a variety of weapons. They have a lot of different weapons that they can use. So you can, you're not really limited here. I mean, it's not as open-ended as the fighter is, but it certainly gives you a large variety of weapons that you can use. You have armor types, and you can use leather coats and padded. All right. So no studded leather or anything like that, but just leather armor, leather coats, and padded. Their abilities: they have back attack, they have cant, they have climb, they have decipher script, they have hide, they have listen, move silently, like all the things you would typically see within a thief class. Um, Basic to hit rolls, they begin at level 2. They're at +1 from levels 2 through 4, +2 from levels 5 through 7, +3 at level 8 and 9 and 10. All right, so they never get up to +4 or more. They're a little bit less martial class than the or combat class than the cleric is. And then you have magic user. All right. So magic users, I will focus on those bonus spells again. So I will talk about that. So bonus spells. With a high intelligence score, a wizard gains bonus spells. If the character has an intelligence of between 13 and 15, they can memorize an extra first level spell. If the intelligence score is a 16 or 17, they can memorize an extra second level spell. and with an 18, they can extra they can memorize an extra third level spell. So once again, they're adding two additional spells. So let's say you had a fourth level. Let's see where we get it. No, actually, let's make it a fifth level. A fifth level wizard would have um, 5 level spells. Let's see if they get extra 0 levels if they wish to. For example, a fifth level can cast five, so four, five. Yeah, so they'll have 5 0 levels. They would have five first level. They would have three second level and two third level. That's adding those bonuses that they got for having that 18 intelligence. Their basic to hit is starts at 0, like everybody but the fighter, and then level 2 through level 5 they're at +1. Level 6 through level 9 they're at +2, and only at level 10 would they get a +3 to hit bonus. So they are the least combat of the classes. So here we have races. And what I like about the races and how they lay these things out, because layout, of course, they give you all of this detail, and you can read everything about their size and their movement and their typical classes. All right, and there's the key factor here, right? Each race is most commonly associated with a list. Uh, this this list of preferred class can be changed at the castle keeper's discretion, but both castle keeper and players should confer prior to making the decision. So these are just the most common or typical classes. You can have a dwarf magic user or a dwarf wizard if you wish. All right, it's just not typical for it to occur. All right, and so they go through the different racial affinities and environment that they could be found in. Then it goes through the racial traits and abilities and actually details those race attributes and then here they do a more of a breakdown of how they actually work and how they're actually listed on your character sheet, right? So you'll have their languages and all of the languages that they're open to, their size, their general size, their movement. Um, their typical classes are fighters, thieves, and clerics. Their attribute modifiers are a +1 to Constitution, -1 to Dexterity. Rogue and Assassin modifiers +2 to Finding Traps and Structures only. All right, so they get an additional modifier as rogues and assassins. All right, to that, to that there. Now, this this box set. All right, these are the basic rules. All right, so they don't have some of those advanced classes like assassin or, um, druids or any of the things that are in the full game system from the player's handbook and the castle keeper's guide and the and monsters and treasures. So these are simplified, like I said, they're perfect to introduce new players to either role playing in general or to castles and crusades, and so on. Then you have halflings, you have we had elves, and then humans. The talk on the alignment is still the nine key alignments that are found, and then equipment. There seems to be more of a focus on equipment in Castles and Crusades than I see in other game systems that are somewhat related to Dungeons and Dragons, and so there's a lot more variety in some of these things, and this is a much truncated um, listing than what you have in the full game system. And then finally, the finishing touches on your character. and it takes you right through. I know this still has the OGL 1.0a, and hopefully future versions will no longer have that because they never really needed it to begin with. So let's switch gears. So there you have it. There you have, Men in Magic in Castles and Crusades. It's white box homage, and great way to introduce players to Castles and Crusades as a game system. It is very simple. Um, as I go through the other books, will start adding a little bit more complexity. Like once we get into the next in the series of videos that I will be doing, is the next up will be Eldritch Enchantments. Okay, so that'll be the next one, followed by Adventures in the Wilderness and the Underground, and then Monsters and Treasures at the very end. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do encourage you to take a look at at Castles and Crusades, or some of the other games games that Troll Lords Games puts out. They're always running sales. They always have discounts. They do have a military discount for U.S. military, whether they're active or veterans. I certainly took advantage of that in my most recent purchase, and really appreciate that. And it was so smooth in going through that process of getting the discount code and applying it, and I really appreciate it because it certainly is helpful. I've bought tons of uh, Castles and Crusades, and some other things from Troll Lord Games, and it definitely is a great company to deal with. As you can see behind me, I will shift over so you can see it. Let's see which way I have to shift over so you can see. I now have an entire shelf set up for just Troll Lord games and Castles and Crusades, and their newest is Amazing Adventures, which kind of gives you like pulp adventures, so you can go into a variety of different areas. I have to do a uh, a breakdown of that as well, a review of that as I go through that. Um, that also uses the siege system, so the system is being transported to other genres of games that Troll Lord Games is putting out. So excited about taking a look at that as well. So once again, thanks for joining. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I know the channel has really blown up over the last week and a half. Picking up more subscribers in these last 2 weeks than comparably to any month in its in the channel's history. It's 6th year. We just began year 6 or 7. Actually, I think we just began year 7 of the channel, and yeah, so huge explosion of subscribers, and I'm going to continue putting out content that you want to actually see, and I take a look at what's interesting people, what they're actually viewing, and then when I see something really garners a lot of attention, then I focus on that for a while and then keep on mixing it up for you. So this channel has never been about just one game system, one game company, or anything like that. There's a wide variety that I try to cover, including computer games as well. I'm running a Skyrim series, following one character, and I'm thinking about doing another character as well, and starting off another character because I hear a lot of people playing a particular character um, class and build that sounds interesting, that I haven't done before either. So looking forward to doing that. But anyway, thanks for joining. Have a great afternoon. And if you're in the Northeast and you're getting hit with the snow and sleet like I'm suffering here in New York, please be careful out there if you are taking to the roads, and you'll have a great rest of your afternoon. Take care.